Hello, welcome to another video. A few weeks ago, I dropped an old shed in one of my woodland permissions where I target squirrels through winter. And this is me, just making my way a couple of days ago. And it's time to build that shed.
Morning everyone. So, this is preparation for later in the year. So that's one of my existing squirrel hides. You can see, it's just a frame with a tarp over it. And it's served me well for probably the last couple of years now, but I want more room, I want more space, I want a bit more comfort. There's quite a lot of consideration goes into building an hide. However, I know this is in a good area. I've had a feeder established here now for probably, I don't know, maybe 4 years. Might be a bit longer, I'm not sure. So, squirrels are in this area. I get corvids like magpies, there's rabbits, there's wood pigeon. Now, I'm on the edge of the wood. Now that's for a very good reason. So, I'm on edge at wood, I'm on one of the highest parts at wood. Cold air gathers in valley at bottom. So, obviously critters, when they wake up in the morning, want to go to a warmer space. So they led up this way. And being on edge at wood, for good reason, like I said a minute ago, it's so when I come into woods in the morning, it's less disturbance. You know, it takes me a couple of minutes to get into the hide, 15 minutes, woodland settle back down to normal, and then that's when critters start getting active and moving around again. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to strip all that back, start from scratch, and I've got an old shed that I brought here probably 3 or 4 weeks ago now, and I'm going to rebuild that today and put a tarp over for the roof.
So first thing I need to do is obviously clear all area. So that means taking old tarps off. There's a couple of tarps there. They're not in very good condition, but as a combination, they keep it nice and dry. So I'll strip them down. It's held together with tie wraps. Just a frame that I made out of some old logs that had fallen from trees. Now it served me well, probably 3 or 4 years, something like that. But I've got a big frame, I'm 6'5", and I need more comfort. So the idea is build a nice, spacious hide, incorporate it into some natural surroundings like this holly bush. So it blends in well, it doesn't stand out too much. And then later in the year, my lad Cohen can join me and come on a shooting session with me. And there's plenty of room for both of us. So once I cleared the area inside the holly bush, I threw all old branches out, pulled old tarps through. They're all a load of old logs that were stacked up in front of old hides, so I've pulled them to one side as well, moved them out of the way. So I want to start with a completely clear area before I start building a new shed.
So you can see, that didn't really take long. It took me about 10 minutes. So now what I'm going to do is just clear a footprint for the shed. Now there's no base. We don't need base because I've got floor, obviously, woodland floor. So I just want to clear it, make it level, and then I'll go from there. So shed's about 6x4, so I want a nice 6x4 area clearing. What I'm going to do, I want to move my hide, or my new hide, to the left a bit, so I've got a bit better view at feeder without being obstructed by these bushes. I'm going to push it forward a little bit as well to give me a wider field of view.
So it's time to throw all old logs forward, clear ground or any debris. Now to save you pain of watching a really lengthy video, obviously fast forward a few parts of this. Just speeds you up. Hope you find it a bit more interesting than watching me for hours on end. when I'm building an hide, I always like to incorporate into some existing fabric in either woodland, an hedgerow, whatever it may be. It just helps it blend in. And obviously I'm inside quite a large holly bush here. Now front edge of hide, I'll face outwards towards feeder, give me a good field of view. But the rest of it's concealed, or at least 3/4 of it. So it's quickly accepted into area by all different critters. This is what enables me to get corvids within range at feeders. As you can see here, I'm just shoveling all earth back. Start with a nice flat area, nice and clear and nice and clean. Now that area is clear, it's time to start manoeuvring old shed into place. This blew down a couple of months ago, one of my neighbours. Just an old shed he had at the bottom of my garden. It come down. I saw an opportunity to reclaim it and repurpose it. It's not in brilliant condition, but structure's not bad, and it'll be more than adequate for what I need. So what you can see is I've cleared area. I'm just manoeuvring different parts of it into place. So I've got one side up on the left hand side, and now I'm trying to fix in place probably main part of shed hide for me, which is obviously shooting window, so that needs to be facing out to feeder. I have moved hide over to the left. It gives me a lot better field of view at feeder, and a lot of squirrels tend to come from right hand side, so I should be able to observe movement a bit better going forward as well. Right, so I've got my footprint where I want it to be. I've got a couple of pieces just slightly in position. It's time to get a couple of screws in. Just hold it in place while I manage to manoeuvre other pieces. As you can see, it's looking good so far. Now let's do a bit of a mission to get this shed into the woods in first place. It's a 1 mile walk from where I parked my car. There's obviously 4 pieces. So I did 4 loaded trips, then 4 unloaded, backwards and forwards to the car one morning. So just to get this shed in place, I did about 8 miles, roughly. It's a fair distance to travel when you're carrying something like this. A few pieces are pretty easy, but this piece that I'm working on outdoor, you can see frames not the best. And that were really, really difficult to manoeuvre, especially over rough terrain, uneven terrain for a mile. And it took me a couple of weeks just to recover from effort that I put into it. But how I see it is, if you don't put effort in, you're going to get no rewards. Now this place, when it's complete, will provide me with a warm, sheltered place during winter months. I'll be able to keep wind off me, keep rain off me. And because it's spacious and it'll be well set up, I'll be able to spend longer in hide and hopefully account for more squirrels. Well, that's 3 sections in place. Now this final piece, which is back piece, is literally only half. I think during, obviously, it's storm that brought shed down. Half of it was just smashed to pieces. But I can work with that. It's half a side. But all I'll do is, with my tarps, obviously cover the roof, make sure that's covered well. But then I'll drape it down this back bit and artificially cover that. As long as it keeps rain out, keeps wind out, keeps me concealed, keeps it nice and dark inside that hide, it'll be good. Now you want it dark inside your hides. What you want to do is conceal your movement, particularly when there's corvids and stuff in the area. Squirrels, not so much. They're not really that fussy. They're intent on eating. They just want to turn up, have a good feed and get on the way. But I will make sure it's dark. And that should help me out for future sessions. And what I did do, because door won't open properly at this point, because the ground being uneven on the other side, so I got myself half stuck. But decided to just nip it all together. And then I'll ladle over this half section, work my way around to the door, make sure that opens nice and freely, and I can work away at my heart's content really. I've been shooting this particular piece of woodland for about the last 6 years now. And it's not a big wood, but it is joined to a bit larger wood, which isn't too far away. And as you know, you get travelling squirrels. Them that are stretching their legs, looking for new territory. So always get a steady flow of squirrels. Now, they're not massive numbers. I think biggest bag I've took off this particular feed is 6 or 7. But I'm good with that. That's a good average number of squirrels. Now, during summer months, I don't target them. There's no reds in area. During summer, they'll have a couple of litters, one early in summer and then one in June to July. So what that does for me, it replenishes numbers and gives me something to look forward to for winter months. Now, for those of you that know me pretty well and been following my channel for a couple of years, you'll know that as well as providing a pest control service, I also eat what I shoot. So by managing population, these squirrels provide me with some tasty meals and fill my freezer with some really, really good quality meat. It's took a lot of work to get to this point, and it's been spread over a few weeks. But it's nice to see the structure's coming together and I'm making really, really good progress. So what I do, I start knocking a couple of nails in, securing it up in all different corners. It is braced against that little tree that you can see there. It's braced against a bush on the left, bush on the right, and it's got some structure in front of it at front as well, so it's going to hold it in place really well. What I've done, I've gone out and found a cross beam. I've cut it to length, and that's going to provide first part of structure to the roof. I'll make sure that's nice and secure. When I'm happy with position, happy it's going to hold, then it's time to work on tarps and start thinking about roof. It was a muggy morning, not as warm as other week, thankfully, when it got up to like 40 degrees for 2 or 3 days. I expended some calories. I actually got my Fitbit on, and during all this, during like a 4 or 5 hour period, I did 4.5 miles on foot, and that's just round and round in circles really, barring walk to and from wood. But when I finally did get completed, and I got back to the car, I was absolutely soaked with sweat. And that first tarp I put on, it got a big hole in it. That's obviously where I've cut a window to shoot out front of before. Thankfully, I've got a second one, and that covered that roof up nice, so there is no holes in roof. Now what I'm doing at this point, I've got tarp roughly in position, I've got that coverage I want on the roof, and now I've got some more pieces of wood, some more logs from Woodland. I'm adding like cross members, cross braces, to get that roof space, some structure and support. Obviously during winter months, we could have a snowfall. That could put some additional weight onto the roof. So I've got to make sure that's nice and secure, nice and sturdy, and in that way, obviously it's not going to collapse through winter months. It's nice at this point, it's a relief to be getting to the point where it's nearly done. I've already got a couple of chairs here, so I've got an old executive chair, office chair, really comfy. You can actually recline it, you can manoeuvre it high up and down. And I've got a second chair. I usually put my gear on to keep it off ground, unless I'm accompanied by somebody in hide. So they're already in place, thankfully, so I had to drag them down to wood. Undercover, elements, they'll last quite a long time. During winter, I've noticed that mice have been at my chair. I took a bit of foam out. Obviously, that's probably for nesting early on this year, or it's for insulation to keep warm through winter months. At this point, it's looking really good. I've just got to readjust that tarp, bring it down closer. Obviously, I don't want that front end to be as open as it is. These are the last cross sections I'm putting in place now. As you can see, I pulled that tarp down. I will conceal that better as well. Not particularly much for squirrels, but definitely for corvids that visit the area. I always account for a few magpies. They love that free food round a feeder. It's like a staple diet for them through winter, so it's a really good method of getting local populations under control. Now, you're not there to wipe them all out, obviously, but it is a good time. Corvids should be targeted during winter. It's when ground's frozen, they can't get to insects easy, and they have to look for alternative food sources. So that's it. Got it finished off. Nice shooting window. What I will do is get a piece of scrim net for that, just to conceal it a bit better, keep a bit of breeze out. I'll just put a couple of holes in it I need for shooting and filming. Plenty of room. Nice doorway to get in and out. Door's not hung very well, but it serves a purpose. A spare chair. A little flask of coffee. Get 2 chairs in here, nice and easy. Cleared out ground. There's no twigs, there's no leaves. Happy days. Can't wait for winter now. Lovely and spacious in there. Plenty of room for a couple of people, for me and lad. Nice and comfy, about to get a couple of shelves up. Perfect. So here we are. It's got an old lorry sheet and a tarport roof. Roof don't look all special, but it just serves a purpose really, you know. Looking good. All them logs were there before, if you remember. They were just stacked up, so I've just stacked them back. It just breaks up outline it shed itself. Looks a bit more natural. Get a scrim net over that front. And if I pan round, feeders down there. About 20 yards away. It's all in good condition. I'm going to give that a lick of paint before winter comes. Just protect it a little bit more. Get it filled up. Woods is looking overgrown. But that's it. Took a bit of graft, but I've got here. And now I'm going to have loads of comfort for winter. I'm not wishing summer away. But wow, can't wait to actually sit in here now and use it. Really, really pleased. I hope you found this video interesting. Obviously something a little bit different, but I did mention quite a few times that we're going to be doing this. And I've got another 2 or 3 hides to expand, put a couple in some new locations, and what that'll do, it'll provide some different footage, some different shooting this winter coming up on channel. As ever, thanks for watching, thanks for support, and I'll see you next one.